Hey guys, AllSports83 here with another edition of XFL Casual, and in this video, by request, I'll be ranking the secondary logos for each XFL team. Now this is going to be a top 10 rankings because a couple of teams have more than one secondary logo. I'm not sure why. I think it's a bit strange that some get more than others, but I'll be ranking these logos based on my visual appeal, how they contribute to or connect to the primary logo, and how they connect to the team and even the city that the team represents. As always, this is just my opinion, and you can let me know what your thoughts are down below. Now, before we get into the actual rankings, I just want to let you know that I did leave a few of these secondary logos out. I didn't actually discover them until I had edited this video. Any of you who've known how to edit these videos, you know they're difficult. But let's move on to those three. I want to show them right now. The first one is for the San Antonio Brahmas. This is a secondary logo. It's kind of a B, and then it's got that horn that's kind of on the top left. Kind of looks a little bit more like a Nike swoosh to me, but it's an okay logo. It's not terrible. It's not great. If I had included this in the rankings, it would have probably fell somewhere in the middle of the road to the back half of the rankings. The biggest thing about this logo that strikes me is that the B, the font for that B, looks like, for some reason, it looks like it fits more with the DC Defenders font. It doesn't really scream the same font as the Brahmas font for me, so I'm not really sure. It's okay, but it's not great. Probably would have ranked somewhere around 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere in there. Next up, I want to move on to the next logo that I did not include, and that is for the Seattle Sea Dragons. This is really just the main primary logo. They just kind of cut off most of the bottom of it, and so it's not really much different from the primary logo. It's just the top half of it, so it's not special to me. It's probably, again, middle of the road. I guess in a way it looks fine. It doesn't look bad. It just barely fits as a secondary logo because it's really not any different from the primary, just cut off the bottom half. So there you go. This logo probably fits just in front of that Brahmas logo that I just set up, so probably back half. Next up is the DC Defenders secondary logo, and this is probably the best of the secondary logos that I did not include in the rankings. It's kind of this banner style, or maybe the patch that goes on the shoulder of military personnel, so there is definitely a connection with the Defenders and the kind of the military connection the team is making with DC, so it does look good. You could also make these banners and hang them outside of your home. It feels like the people at Audi Field could hang these around the outside and the inside of the stadium, so there's definitely a positive connection with this secondary logo. Probably the best of the three I didn't include, and I would think I would stick this one maybe closer to the top 5, somewhere in there, if it had been in the original ranking. So kind of give you an idea of those. I didn't want to leave those out after I discovered them before editing this video completely. So let's go ahead and move on to the top 10 rankings. Number 10 goes to the St. Louis BATTLEHAWKS STL logo, and it's a good thing that they have another secondary logo, because I personally don't qualify this as a logo at all. It's just an abbreviation of the city name and the team font. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know how you call this a logo. I mean, it looks fine on a t-shirt, but any team can do this. I mean, I spent 5 minutes on Microsoft Publisher and made a similar concept for the Sea Dragons. I just don't think this passes as a logo. Again, I'd buy the shirt if I were a Battlehawks fan. It looks good. I just see this as a shirt paying more attention to the city than the logo, which is fine. But again, I just can't consider this a true logo, and it barely gets in the rankings at number 10. Next up here is another strange and disappointing logo, and that is for the Vegas Vipers. At number 9, there are two major problems with this logo, and they're pretty related. First, the logo is a better representation for the city of New Orleans, not Vegas. So I think that's kind of strange. And also, it has nothing to do with a viper. Second, it may be different enough to avoid legal issues, but I instantly think of the New Orleans Saints when I look at this logo. I know it's a different color, but it's just too close to the NFL team. In general, I would never associate this logo with the Vegas Vipers because it's completely unrelated to anything connected with the team except for the color. So, like number 10 in the rankings, it's a good thing that the Vipers have another secondary logo to hang their hat on, and I hope this one just kind of disappears over time. Number 8 for me goes to the San Antonio BRAHMAS logo, and while I appreciate what they tried to do here, I just don't like the final product. For starters, it looks a little too similar to another logo that we're going to see in the rankings, and I think in that ranking, the concept works just a little better. The arch and the star is a noble effort to connect the logo to San Antonio and the Alamo, but the weaving letters just don't fit in the brand. Also, the lettering is very thin, but a Brahma is a large and strong animal, which is not reflected in this logo at all. Lastly, there is no real connection to the primary logo. The Brahma logo is bold, it's jagged, and has sharp lines, but this logo is just so different. It just doesn't seem to represent the team in the same way. So again, I like the idea of highlighting the city for the secondary logo, but this just doesn't work for me. On to number 7, we're going to go back to the Vegas Vipers, and that is with the LV logo. While this is a better attempt than the number 9 entry, it still lands toward the bottom of the rankings. And, you know, the first thing that pops in my head when I see this logo is that it should belong to a Division II college program. It looks okay, but it's just not on par for a pro football team. The other thing that sticks out is that if you use a lettering and a font as your logo, that's okay, but you need to have continuity with the lettering of the other logos and the art for the team. This LV is completely different. It goes in a completely different direction from the fonts that you see for the Vegas Vipers. It makes it feel like it just doesn't belong to the team. So I'll be honest in saying that I don't know how you could fix this logo, but I just don't think it's cohesive enough to represent the Vipers at all. Number 6 goes to the Seattle Sea Dragons, and this is a concept similar to the Brahmas at number 8, but I think it works a lot better here. First, there is an obvious connection to the sea with the interlocking trident that puts me in mind of the city under the sea, Atlantis, things like that. It reinforces that the sea and sea dragons to help cement the tweak in the name from 2020. There's really not much else to say about this logo. I just appreciate the first real effort on this list to make a true connection with the team and primary logo. I can easily see these two logos showing a united connection to represent the Sea Dragons. Next up is the St. Louis Battlehawks at number 5. With that, I think it's a real attempt at a logo this time as opposed to the STL at number 10. It's a sharp-lined hawk, like an armored hawk, to strike at the popular connection that the fans have with the bird. I've often wondered if the team is supposed to be a representation of a fighter jet or a hawk, and I guess it's both. At any rate, this is a pretty solid entry. It may be a bit generic, as if I think I've maybe seen something close to this, the art style, like maybe in a video game. But it still looks pretty good, and I can see how fans can get connected to it pretty quickly. And yes, it is a cohesive logo with the rest of the team. It kind of fits with the primary logo, in my opinion, and that's a pretty good thing. The Houston Roughnecks may get the highest grade in connection to the team on how it looks with the primary logo. One logo is an oil rig, the other is the material for the oil rig. The oil rig has an H built into its logo, and the secondary logo has an H built in. So that's pretty consistent for me. It's basically the perfect marriage and concept, and it really works well overall. Only one small thing, I may have added a little white into the interior of that logo. This is just a quick mock-up that I did to show what I mean here. There is some white in the main logo, so I think this would have been a consistency throughout. But it's still a great logo for the Roughnecks, and I can see this selling some merchandise, and I'd love to see this logo on the field somewhere. Maybe the end zone could look a little bit like this. Regardless, this is a great entry for Houston. Number 3 may be a surprise for many, but for me, it is the Orlando Guardians. What I like most about this logo is that it's simple. Simple is clean, and in this case, it works really well. It's also a seamless complement to the main logo. Now, as with the previous logo in the rankings, maybe a bit of trim would help this logo out quite a bit. I might have gone for the gray that's part of the colors to trim out that G, and I think that would have looked really, really well. In addition, the G is different enough from the G in the Guardians that it serves as a legitimate logo, but it's not so different that it kind of goes in a different direction. So I can see it paired with the rest of the art on the team. I really like this clean and simple logo for the Guardians. I may be on an island with this opinion, but that's perfectly okay with me. Number 2 is the DC Defenders Shield logo. I think this logo strikes the perfect balance between listening to the fans and putting a refreshing signature to represent new ownership. As a result, I think this is a significant upgrade from the Shield in the 2020 version of the Defenders. Eliminating the round edges from the old Shield keeps it more consistent with the new primary logo, and the look really goes well together. Fans definitely wanted the Shield to return, and now they have it. The added pentagon shape also makes it yet another connection to the city of DC as well, so this logo really hits all of the marks. And finally, number 1, and I don't think it's any surprise, is the Renegade from the Arlington Renegades. Perhaps the biggest outrage of fans was the absence of this logo from 2020, and for me, this is the only secondary logo that's better than the primary logo. And I can't do anything but give it number 1 on the rankings here. It's hard to say that a logo from just a couple of years ago is considered, quote, iconic even, but this is as close as it gets. Like the rest of the XFL fan community, I'd rather see this on the helmet than the new logo, but I have to give credit to the ownership here for knowing when to listen to the fans and bringing back this very popular logo. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Those are my rankings for the secondary logos in the XFL, but as always, it's just my opinion. I want to know what you guys think. Where am I crazy? Where do you agree? What's your favorite secondary logo? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll be looking forward to seeing what you have to say. Until then, have a good one.